Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself form. Sensations, perceptions, formations, and consciousness are also like this Shariputra. All dharmas are marked by emptiness. They neither arise nor cease, are neither defiled nor pure, neither increase nor decrease. Therefore, given emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no formation, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no sight, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of mind consciousness. There is neither ignorance nor extinction of ignorance, neither old age and death nor extinction of old age and death, suffering, no cause, no cessation, no path, no knowledge, and no attainment, with nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva relies on prajna paramita, and thus the mind is without hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Far beyond all inverted views, one realizes nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future rely on prajna paramita, and thereby attain unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Therefore, know the prajna paramita as the great miraculous mantra, the great right mantra, the supreme mantra, the incomparable mantra, which removes all suffering and is true, not false. Therefore, we proclaim the prajna paramita mantra, the mantra that says gate gate para gate parasangate bodhisattva. Please pass your sutras forward. We will keep those sutra cards for you. There's a small one on the conference table, Joseph. Little black pair.
The guest can go ahead and be seated.
So again, welcome to this joyous occasion. It's somewhat somber in that this is a serious commitment that individuals are making to their practice. Thank you. Yes, we're going to cut you. Not to worry. So each of the candidates will ask you to step forward, beginning you, Hansel, and step forward, make a little bow, take one pinch of incense, place it to your forehead and on the charcoal. Then one more, you just raise it up slightly to Buddha. Yes, on the charcoal. A bow, and step back to where. Let's take one. So these pinches of incense, usually 3, we're keeping it down a little bit today for the sake of the asthmatic amongst us. and let's keep too much particulate matter out of the air. 3 pinches represent the Buddha, the 3 treasures you may have heard of. Buddha, founder, and our self-nature. Dharma, the compassionate teaching. Michael. And sangha, the community of trainees. Another pinch, one just to Buddha. One to your forehead, one to Buddha. Okay. Good day. And a second bow at the end. Yes. Indeed. And Gil. And this is my seal of approval on these candidates. Please bow. I'm going to ask Shinjin to read the sermon. It should be at the back of your copy.
We gather to celebrate the initiation of these 8 candidates onto the path of Zen, which is the way of enlightenment. We use the metaphor path and journey to describe the Zen life being undertaken. In early Buddhism, the phrase entering the stream was used. It suggests stepping into and being carried onward by the flowing Buddha wisdom. We use the English term initiation, which suggests a transition and the beginning of something new. This Tokudo ceremony is all these things and more. The term Tokudo is sometimes translates as attained the other shore, as we have just chanted in the Great Heart Sutra. Tokudo is a celebration of both beginnings and endings, of undertaking and attainment. These candidates are no newcomers to practice. They have been working hard for many years, and their practice is now strong and vital. They are well known to the Sangha and have made contributions to the center by regular attendance and support of our activities. So while we call this an initiation, it is merely an acknowledgement of something already well underway. There is a wonderful story from the Lotus Sutra about a young man who grows up with a loving father in a fine home filled with treasure. Yet in his confusion and anger, the boy runs away in search of riches. He travels for many years and undergoes many hardships, never finding his riches until all memory of his own in the distance, and he recognizes his lost son. Yet the boy flees. The wise father is troubled and devises a plan to slowly regain his son's trust. He sends an attendant dressed as a beggar to inform the son that meals are to be had for work at the mansion. Gradually over time, the son is given more and more responsibility until in his work, after many years, the son rises to oversee the mansion and all of the father's business interests. Only then does the wise father finally reveal his true relationship to his lost son. Only then does the son finally realize his birthright, that the riches he sought so fruitlessly were always in his possession. Our practice is like this. Tokudo marks the beginning of a search for something we already possess. As part of the ceremony, these candidates will undertake 11 of the 16 precepts. The 3 refuges, the 3 pure precepts, and the 5 grave precepts. The precepts are guidelines for living in accordance with the Zen life. They help us actualize and manifest our Zen practice. And by undertaking the precepts, Tokudo becomes something we do, not just something we did. To bring our life into harmony and accord with the precepts requires attention to every action, to every step.
So now we do the purification. aspergement prior to the shaving of the head. In olden days, the head was actually shaved. You left, you joined the order, you left what we might call normal life. Part of that was shaving the head. We think in some cases here that would be no problem. And probably hygienic at that time as well for hygienic reasons. So we chant Namu Kie Butsu, I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. We go through that 3 times. And so we ask you to join in chanting. After I chant the line Namu Kie Butsu, you chant it. I'll chant Namu, we take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. Anybody observing is also welcome to join in. Namu Kie Butsu, I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. Namu Kie Butsu, I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. Namu Kie Butsu, I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. Preparing the head for shaving. The shaving has become symbolic, symbolizes leaving behind the past, most especially your own opinion, your own past. Hey, Huts, I shave your head. Hey, Huts. Hey, Huts, I shave your head. Another work with another. Hey, Huts, I shave your head. Jukai is not a formal stage of training. It is a prerequisite. So it does make us contemplate what Master Dogen, 15th century Japan, founder of Soto Zen in Japan, referred to as the round-headed square clothes. The naked monk, the renunciant. True renunciation, however, you explain, shave your head, hey Huts. I shave your head, hey Huts. You explain as being comprised of seeing through our own life to the emptiness at its core. Many monks and nuns are able to do physical renunciation, but they're not able to do actual renunciation. So in our practice, lay practice is the highest status. As a lay practitioner, you do true renunciation, then you are regarded as the exemplar of the practice. So now we will do the acknowledgement of karma. Go on, we'll chant the title. Each of these is a call response.
Acknowledgement of karma.
All the karmic action ever committed by me since of old. Arising from greed, anger, and delusion. Born of this body, mouth, and mind. I now acknowledge and accept all consequence with equanimity. Now, in light of the difficulty of living such a life, in spite of repenting, we take refuge in the three treasures.
The three treasure refuges.
I take refuge in Buddha, the fully awakened one. I take refuge in Dharma, the compassionate teaching. I take refuge in Sangha, the harmonious community. And now, receiving the precepts, please repeat after me. I have taken refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The Tathagata realized true enlightenment and is my great teacher. I have taken refuge in the Tathagata. Please look with compassion upon my humble vows. And now the three pure precepts. Please respond, yes, sensei, if you agree. Still time to back out. First pure precept, not creating evil, do no harm. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
Second pure precept, practicing good, do only good. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
The third pure precept, purifying intention, do good for others. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
You must not break these three pure precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. Please bow. Now the 5 grave precepts. You have received the 3 pure precepts, pure in the sense of non-duality, not morally. Now the 5 grave precepts. These are precepts of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Affirm life, do not kill. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
Be giving, do not take what is not freely given. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
Honor the body, not engage in sexual misconduct. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
Manifest truth, do not speak falsely. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
Proceed clearly, do not cloud the mind with intoxicants. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
You must not break these 5 precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. As a caveat, we observe the precepts by breaking them. When you see in your life, some of us are smiling in recognition, yes, then they're done that. So we take the precepts again and again as we observe ourselves breaking them. They cannot be understood literally. You have received the 3 refuges, the 3 pure precepts, the 5 grave precepts. Will you observe these precepts until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
You must not break these 11 precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. When sentient beings receive the precepts, they enter the realm of the Buddhas, which is none other than the great enlightenment. Truly, they are the children of Buddha. Now the presentation of vestments. As we do this, I would like you to listen to what Shinjin has to say about the Wagesa and later about the beads. So Shinjin, just take your time in doing that. We have 8 to present.
The wagesa is symbolic of robes worn by Buddha and his followers. Traditionally, monks wove their own robes from discarded scraps as part of the renunciation of the world and of delusion. The metaphor of taking on the new clothing is powerful and evocative. Wear your wagesa when you sit as a reminder of this tradition and your undertaking today. These are the Buddha's robes. Treat them with great respect. The Juzu beads are the Buddhist rosary. There are 27 beads on the wrist rosary, represent the traditional list of 108 delusions which are considered hindrances to the path. The beads always come in multiples of 9. Think of each bead as representing 4 delusions. The tassel represents the roots of the lotus of wisdom. You may turn each bead as a concentration aid, much like counting the breath. What are the 8 delusions? You can create your own list.
My teacher, Matsuoka Roshi, he placed the vestment on my shoulders for the first time. Outside. Bring your hand up. This is the way you accept me. Wagesa. Wagesa represents the priest robes with the emblems of Eiheiji and Sojiji, 2 main training monasteries in Japan. And he said, treat this as you would your own eyes. In Japan, you will see, go to the office of Sotoshu, for instance, and you'll see people running around in business suits wearing wagesas, and rakusus. A rakusu is the head-like affair that you've probably seen. And they'll have them on backwards to keep them from getting soiled. A little bit like Mighty Mouse to save the day. Some lineages you may have heard of, you have to sow rakusu before you do Jukai, or in order to do Jukai. But in our lineage, Matsuoka Roshi felt it was better to make Jukai widely accessible to anyone. Even children undergo Jukai if their parents approve. So it's not really making a commitment on your part to anything in particular other than your own Zen life. I like the combination of the Tibetan robe and okay, rarely seen. So as Shinjin was reading, it's appropriate to sit with these when you attend Zazen. Some places do not encourage you to bring your beads into the Zendo, probably because people tend to sort of fidget with them. Beads were once used as a rosary for counting. And there are certain chants that we do that seems appropriate. Matsuoka Roshi's temple in Chicago, we would hold the beads in our hand while we're sitting. And in fact, place the 2 hands together in the middle of the beads you've already got. You say the condition of your vestments is an illustration of the condition of your practice. Some of mine are so old and ragged, I think it's an accurate description. kind to your vestments, they will be kind to you. Not recommend that you wear them at the office. If you like to carry your beads, we recommend that you keep them hidden in your pocket, maybe. Goes over both hands, pull your right hand out, and put it back. Right hand out. That's the way you accept them. So they fall into the crook of your hand. These are called wristmala. They consist of some 28 beads, I believe. It's a multiple. What's a fourth of 108? Whatever a fourth of 108 is. 27. And they say the larger beads and tassel beads represent multiple beads. I think there's nothing wrong with fidgeting with them. Maybe not what we're doing about that. One hand up. It's too smoky. Push that door open again. Maybe there's a Zen demon outside the door. Protecting the Dharma. I hear him. No. Pull one hand up. And then. One of our more clever students said they're kind of like 108 delusions themselves, which they symbolize. They're always getting in the way. You never know what to do with them. The beads. So let them be an irritant in your life. They will eventually make a pearl. We're going to change it up a little bit here. But we should not get possessive about them. I don't know how many sets of beads I've given away over the years. People who give them to me maybe get irritated with me because I give them away. So good. Thank you so much. Busatsu. So, now we come to the presentation. This is the final presentation, really, of the Dharma name. And one of the reasons that we're a little delayed this morning, wrapping up of the certificates, making sure we had in order. We had some help in getting that done. So with each of these, I'll ask you to step up again for one pinch of incense, beginning with incense. Each place one pinch of incense. Each take hold of the certificate, and you and I incense it together 3 times. So this includes a record of the ceremony today. It includes the Dharma name painted on the back It's my talk. And thanks to Keiko-san, we have also calligraphy of your Dharma name. So this is a lay, I'm not going to read these every time, not all of it. Lay initiation certificate receiving the precepts of Jukai, certifying that Mr. Ansel Payne, who shall hereafter be known by the Dharma name of So Enchigyu, which in English translates as peaceful fool. It will take a little explanation. I see you're smiling already. So it says, has undergone initiation as a formal Soto Zen Buddhist this day, November 14th, 2021. I'm always terrified that I'm going to get the date wrong. This ceremony was officiated by Zenkai Taiyun, my Dharma name, Taiyun means great cloud, Zenkai whole world, Eliston Abbot of STO, Silent Order, under the auspices of the Atlanta Soto Zen Center. So there's a document missing from the back of yours, which is a little folder that has guidelines, and it will make sure to get you one before you leave. So please help me remember that. So please stay for a moment. I want to read a little bit about your Dharma name. In doing these Dharma names, we try to capture a little bit of your personality, and of course, I don't know you very well. We're looking for deepest practice, deepest wisdom. Deepest practice, deepest wisdom. Second one, which I've marked the page which your name is mentioned, Chigyu, so if you can understand a little bit more about what it means. And the other reference that I have given you, and in your certificate, you will have all of your class members listed, class of 2021. So you'll know everybody. There's no contact information, but you'll know everybody's name and name. So this is 3 fascicles from Shobo Genzo with commentaries by Kosho Uchiyama, who is Okumura Roshi's teacher, who was same age as Matsuoka Roshi, born in 1912, and translated by Okumura and Tom Wright. The other place I refer you to for this name, Peaceful Fool, is the Sing Ching Ming, Trust in Mind, which is the first Chinese poem, where he says, with practice hidden, functions secretly, like a fool, like an idiot. Just to continue in this way, it's called the host within the host. So I'm going to let you borrow this. And I encourage you to buy it. If you want to borrow it and take it home and read it, you have to promise to bring it back. My personal copy, otherwise, buy it. This is my acceptance of this new initiate. Keiko. Again, we will incense this together 3 times. For Keiko's Dharma name, she gave me a kind of challenge. She mentioned that in Japan, the tradition is to keep one of the syllables of her name, Keiko, which means something like blessed, and add a syllable to it. So I chose Keiryu. In your case, it's soul. It means monk or man, male, man, Mr. maybe. Keiryu ni means none or female. Well, that's not part of your name. That's a title like Mr. and Mrs. Keiryu, which in English translates as revered. K means also revered, a different K, the same pronunciation. Revered dragon. So for you, I recommend the Fukanza Zengi, book number 1, the Shobo Genzo, Green Book. Fukanza Zengi is marked here. It's not part of Shobo Genzo, but it was Dogen's first tract that he wrote when he returned to Japan from China. And it includes a couple of references to a dragon in here, the real dragon. Next would be Jeremy. Everybody needs an assistant like this. Together, 3 times. So for Jeremy Willems, we have, and this is the little package that's missing from here. It has a little insert in the back, and we'll get you one of those before you leave. Mr. Jeremy Willems, who shall hereafter be known by the Dharma name of So, Shushin, which in English translates as emancipation. So there's a little bit more to be said about that. The reference is Mountains and Waters Sutra. We haven't typically done this in the past, but I thought it would be a good idea. I thought it would be a good idea for you to have this. So here, emancipation literally means shutsu, means to exit and get out, and get out, and shin is the body. So this doesn't mean you have to have an out-of-body experience. It means you get liberated or free from your body-mind. Shinjin Datsurak, drop away body-mind. Dogen's a famous expression of his awakening. Next we have Michael Lynch. Some water on there, that would not work. 3 times. So the ceremony is here for you to refer to it in future as you wish to remember. And I should make a brief comment on the insert, which is the guidelines. And the guidelines are more what you can expect from us, essentially, than what we expect from you. And it has a little bit more explanation on Jukai. And it has a list of bullet points, things you can do, like you're invited to do, helping to staff Zen Center events, accompanying teachers on outreach, things of that nature. And basically taking care of other newcomers as they show up. So when you become part of the community, part of the sangha, you're not exactly expected to step up, but most people enjoy doing that. So for Mr. Michael Lynch, we've chosen the name So, Ryumon, which in English translates as Dragon Gate. It's another take on dragon. And as we say to everybody, the reference is Zuimonki, Shobogenzo Zuimonki, little white blue. So I'll just read a brief bit of this so that you and the observers can get an idea of what this reference is for. In the ocean, the Dogen instructed, these were all collected by Heijo, his successor, live teachings at one of the first zendos he occupied, or monasteries in Japan when he came back from China. In the ocean there is a place called the Dragon Gate, where vast waves rise incessantly. Without fail, all fish, once having passed through this place, become dragons. Thus, the place is called the Dragon Gate. He goes on to say these vast waves are not different from those in any other place, and so forth. And the water is also ordinary salt water, etc. I think you'll enjoy reading that. And again, my copy. Encourage you to buy it. So Daniel, you step up. Also encourage all of you to get to know the other members of your class, just as you might in high school or college. This is not exactly a graduation, but I don't know what we want to call it. So, So in your case, Daniel Graham, we have chosen the name. Get to it here. Everybody okay? So Hogo, which in English translates as Dharma words. Now this Hogo comes from an introduction to Zazen, Soto Zen. This is a book I think we may have available. So Hogo. Hogo, this comes from a chapter called Juniji Hogo, on practicing throughout the day, which is the point, the big point. Daiichi Soke Zenji, who was after Master Dogen, and he basically goes into what the Buddhas and ancestors properly transmit as nothing but sitting. When you sit, hold your hands in posture, cross your legs, so forth, and gives you some instructions. And I think in here what you will begin to understand what he means by true Dharma words. True Dharma words are not words. And Patrick. So for Patrick J. Jones, or PJ, we've chosen a Dharma name. It's a very important one in Dogen's corpus of work, Zen-ki. Zen-ki means the total dynamic function. Frankly, knowing you're a drummer, you have to have the total dynamic function to be a drummer. But that's not all it means. So total dynamic function is coming from realizing Genjo Koan, which I believe you've been reading. We've been discussing that. And in Shobogenzo Tsuki, which means moon, and Taylor Brown here is in Tsuki after that, Dogen says that in reality, both the mountains and the persons move. This is where he talks about the mountains are always moving. In reality, both the mountains and the person move. When I move, the mountains also move. So we are moving simultaneously. Both self and mountains have no permanent, independent nature because they are moving and changing, and therefore empty. Everything in the universe is moving and changing. And this total dynamic function, including the seacoast, the boat, the mountains, the car, the wind bell, and the hearer, is the reality of our lives. Our movement within this reality is expressed when we arouse Bodhi mind and continue to practice as we meet every situation in our lives. Each of these names has an associated text that is similar in importance, I think. And hopefully this will introduce you, if you haven't begun already, introduce you to the reason for doing Dharma study along with the Zen practice. But Zazen is critical. Zazen is it's no longer necessary to hold your hands in just when you go. So this is for Lindy Morgan. She's saying that Miss Lindy Morgan shall hereafter be known by the Dharma name of Yusui Ni, Yusui, which in English translates as deep and quiet. Doesn't mean I'm telling you to keep quiet. It's not that. Deep and quiet. So this is what it looks like, Yusui. Did we insist this? Let's see. Why don't you put it? Next time remind me that they put the pinch. So used to be deep and quiet. Yu means deep and remote, secluded, dim. You know that one. It also means secret or hidden, quiet, tranquil, serene, imprisoned. All true of the netherworld. And Sui means remote in time or space, deep, profound. So like most of these names, your name has multiple meanings. And we ask everyone to do their best to live up to these names. The last but not in any way least, your Rose. Because of your connection to and Dharma name in Tibetan Buddhism, you're the Kagyu lineage. And would you please give everybody your Dharma name and explain a little bit?
Kunshuk Dorje.
And Kunshuk
Kunshuk means rare and pure. It's an epithet for the three jewels.
For the three jewels.
Sangha. And Dharma, Dorje is Vajra or adamantine, Sangha light.
Yeah. So the three jewels are thought of being diamond-like, difficult to destroy. Right. So the Dharma name we have chosen for you means the three treasures or gems, the jewels of Buddhism. Some meaning three, both. Some both. It looks like this. Thanks to Keiko. Did we end session? Let's do it together. Round in circles. Tug of war. So the reference that I've chosen for you to look at or look up is this Living by Vow. It's a practical introduction to 8 essential Zen texts and chants and texts, again by Shohaku Okamura. You can't go wrong with Shohaku-san. He talks about the English translation in the Minnesota's Zen Center. I take refuge in the Buddha, bowing with all sentient beings, acquiring the great way, awakening the unsurpassable mind. I've never heard that translation before. I take refuge in the Dharma, vowing with all sentient beings, deeply entering the teaching, wisdom like the sea. I take refuge in the Sangha, vowing with all sentient beings, bringing harmony to all completely without hindrance, which of course is quite a test these days. So that particular chapter goes into quite a bit of detail on the Zen perspective on the three jewels or treasures. So apologies for this taking a little bit longer this time, but I thought it was important to illustrate the importance of these names. So I now declare that these 8 candidates have formally become Zen Buddhists, declaring it themselves. We take up the way of, is one way the precepts are often expressed. I take up the way of, I take up the way of. So you're taking up the way of Zen. What that means and how that works out in your life is entirely up to you. Don't come to me to tell you how to do it or what to do. And a concluding statement that we like to read, and I'll ask Shinjin to read the concluding statement.
Be happy to if I had it. It's not in the book here.
It's right at the end of the ceremony.
Okay. Okay, I was looking forward to that. Purified and shaven, atoned, or at one with, past karma in action, with the 3 treasures as refuge, and the 3 pure and 5 grave precepts as guide, and with new clothes to remind you of this day, please begin, continue, and complete your new life in the Dharma. I charge the Sangha with welcoming and cherishing these new initiates.
So in order to do so, what we will do is we will do circumambulate, parade around the center, We'll ask everybody in the perimeter to rise. As we walk by, just make a bow to the new initiates. And we will come around twice to give everybody the opportunity, and then we'll parade out to the conference room and bow out to each other. I'll come around, Ansel, you'll track me, and Daniel will pick up Michael.
And this is done with accompaniment?
Say it again?
Done with accompaniment?
Sure.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Three bows to each other. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can leave your packages in here if you like. Let's go back in for for photographs. I think they'll take one group shot.
Yes.
Can we take one group shot with like
Can we
everybody?
Can we do it outside?
Sure.
Yeah.
Outside is better.
Sangha, since they come in front of the camera, you want to say any words? Any words to the?
Oh, for the camera.
Yeah, Let me switch cameras.
Everything is on camera these days. I hope the Mahasangha, those of you in our affiliates, were able to watch and appreciate the relative solemnity of the ceremony, that we do not take it too seriously. It's your life, and that you're committing to a Zen life. And we wish you the best in that. It's not always easy. That's why we have a practice center, place that you can return to take a refresher course, take another drink of the well, the water of Zen. Zen is like water, tasteless but refreshing.
Gasho Metta Sangha, thank you so much for participating with us. The Sangha inside, our initiates will get put your shoes on and we'll get a picture out in front of the Zendo. And we'll take a picture of the initiates class of 2021 and also a big picture of everyone here today with you. So we're so excited to have you in our Sangha. We welcome you and we look forward to practicing with you. Gasho, everyone.
Welcome to all the visitors.
For those online, thank you for attending. Gasho.